This time I have a JVC HRS9400 Super VHS that somebody spliced the tape and they did it wrong and it jammed up in the machine. The machine ate about 6 feet of tape and it buggered it up. Let's fix it.
Story on this VCR is that, and this one by the way is another one of these wonderful dynamic drum system. It's an HRS9400 and there's a tape in it. Now the story on this one went, the owner of it, his tape got broken. He tried to splice it, and now the tape is jammed. So, we're going to see what's wrong with it. See what other damage was caused when they incorrectly spliced tape, because I have a sneaking suspicion that's probably what happened. So we'll pull the side panels off. Hopefully the dynamic drum is not damaged, because this is not one that is going to be modded. This is not one that I have a emulator kit for. It had a seal on it at one point. Somebody had put a tamper seal on it. Let's see what's inside. Looks like the capstan is down, the controller is down. And the tape is, well, there's no tape. The tape is non-existent. The tape is snipped. Alright, let's just see if we can wind the tape out by hand. I'll power it up first and see what happens. Will it even power up? Well, it turns on, but it's not doing anything. The drum is spinning. But other than that, it's not doing anything. Well, the mechanism's trying to load, but there's, it's not ejecting the tape. Well, well, just before it tries to load again, let's just turn the loading gear by hand and raise the mechanism and get the tape out. And tape is broken in the middle. I won't put that tape back in until we find out what is going on with this mechanism, why it's not working. Let's power it up again. I want to make sure that that dynamic drum is not broken. Does it shift? Let's see here. Does it move?
The reason it's behaving the way it is the capstan motor is not turning. There's about 2 meters of tape, 6 feet, that's wound around the capstan shaft itself and is binding it to its housing, so the motor is not turning at all, and that's why the machine's behaving like it is. I'll spot it here in a minute when I look over and see it, and then we'll pull all that dead tape out. It still has a problem though, because there's a part that's fallen out of it that I haven't spotted yet either, and I'll find that when I pull the chassis.
Take a look at the capstan shaft. Has a whole whack of tape wrapped around it. That might be why it's not working. I can see, if we look down here, you can see that there's a whole whack of tape wrapped around there. So it's probably jamming the capstan motor, and that's why nothing's working. So let's just see if we can get this out of here. And maybe that's all that's wrong with it, is that there's a bunch of tape wrapped around the capstan shaft here. Let's hope that's all that's wrong with it, because that would be great if that's all the problem is. Fix this tape for him, and the machine will work. But we'll test it first before I attempt to repair the tape. It's probably the tape that caused the problem. It was, as a fellow told me, he spliced it incorrectly. Get a bit of tape in here. This kind of reminds me of the machine that cost me my job when I worked in the TV industry. It kind of did the same thing. It ended up with a tape that wound around the pinch roller or the capstan shaft, and and I took the tape out because my boss told me to take the tape out, and the management didn't like that. Yeah, this might be the problem here. Take a look at this, the quality of the splice. It looks like there's yeah, I think this might have been why it got stuck. I see a large amount of adhesive that is showing. At least did he put the splice on the right side of the tape? I think he did. That looks like the front side. Yeah, I think he put the splice on the back side of the tape. But the problem, as you can see here, is that, well, it wasn't trimmed. And that got stuck. Now, what other damage was done, I don't know, but we've got a good 6 feet of tape, I guess. Yeah, there's about 6 feet of tape here. About 6 feet of tape was wound around the capstan shaft. There's it halved, and here's it halved again. Now that's about 18 inches there. It's about 6 feet of tape that was wound around the capstan shaft. Now I can still see residue from there, so we're going to have to clean that off before I attempt to do anything, but hopefully at this point the machine will work. Let's turn it on and see whether I get any errors. Probably still got problems, but we'll see. Yeah, it's trying to operate the mechanism now. So it looks like the timing might be out. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm just going to wind the mechanism through its paces by hand, and then we'll power it up. Could be a mode switch is dirty. That's one thing that could be causing this problem. But we'll put the mechanism through its entire loading cycle first and just observe what it does. Okay, pinch roller is now engaged. I'll power it up and we'll see what it does. It should unload, which it does. And when it gets, okay, so when it gets ejected, it's still trying to eject. It's still spinning the capstan motor trying to eject the tape, even though it's fully ejected. Okay, so we may have sensors that are not working properly that indicate that the tape is up. We could have an optical sensor here that's bad. I guess the first thing we got to do is got to pull it apart and see where the problem is. But it jams up on eject. Next, we'll lift out the entire chassis. I'm not gonna pull the board and everything out and take a look. I'm not gonna separate the chassis from the board just yet. I want to get a look underneath and make sure the connections aren't broken. Yeah, the chassis just lifts out complete. You gotta check the connections on this is the dynamic drum. I'm just looking at the end sensors to see how the end sensors look and the little LED, because if they're cracked it won't load properly, so that's what we're going to look at. Well, here's one end sensor here. It doesn't look to be too bad. How about the LED in the middle? That's it there. Where is it? I think it's somewhere in here. That's the LED.
It doesn't look cracked either. How about the start sensor? Those look okay. That fell out. I believe that's the Super VHS switch. The detect if it's a Super VHS tape. Got to figure out where that goes, but that was just sitting in the bottom. I just have to release the plastic clips that hold the board in place. I should be able to lift the unit up. At least enough to be able to clean the mode switch. This should unplug. This is one of those mode switches that's impossible to get to. Yeah, you gotta pull the whole mechanism apart to get to this bloody one. It's right here, it's on the top side. It's actually here underneath the cam gear. So I think we'll be not cleaning the mode switch. We'll give it a shot of cleaner, but I'm not gonna be pulling the whole mechanism apart to get to it. I was thinking this was the little detector for SVHS, but it's not. So I don't even know where this thing goes. It goes somewhere. It's some type of a switch. This is a spring to hold it up. Something gets pressed down. When this gets pressed down, I just got to figure out where the heck it goes. It obviously pokes through the chassis somewhere. I just got to figure out where. Here's the linkage for the Super, like the S cassette there. That's the linkage for that. Where the hell does this one go? Oh, you know what? I bet it goes right here. That's where it goes. Right there. Ah, that's where it fits. What holds it in place? It's for cassette in, when the cassette is down. That goes in just like that. There. That is the cassette down switch. Yeah, that's what that is. That's where that goes. Okay, that might be why it was trying to load a cassette, because this was jammed. And it was trying to eject, and it wasn't detecting that there was no cassette because this was kind of screwed up. Okay, let's reassemble this thing and see whether it works. This is called detective work, to try to figure out where these things go, especially when you don't have a manual for it. Like that would have shown in the exploded view, but I don't have that. But that's where it goes, right there. I'm going to solder the supply and take up in the LED, of course, but before doing that I'm going to pop the pinch roller off, because I want to clean that mess that was left from that bad splice that went through on that tape. So I'm going to pop off the top of the cut washer here so that I can lift this off. Come on, lift off, damn it. I was out and about today and I came across a crew that was wrecking cable for the old phone cables. We're actually pulling them out of the ground, and there was a big crew, reclaiming, wrecking, they call them the wrecking crew, appropriate name. But yeah, they're actually pulling the cables out of the ducts and winding them on the back of a truck. And I was asking the guy, I said, so how much did you pull out here? He goes, oh, he says, we got about 1.7 kilometers of cable that's about 4 inches in diameter, 3,600 pair. That's a lot of copper. Thousands, we're talking thousands of dollars, because copper's what, about $4 or $5 a pound. And this was just the one truck today. They're pulling all of the copper cables out, and yeah, reclaiming lots and lots of copper. This has got tape still wrapped around it here. There is tape still wrapped around here, and I got to get off and clean this off. Clean that mess out of there. I can turn this by hand here a bit. Okay, see the tape on there? There's a right way and a wrong way to splice videotape, and this one was definitely the wrong way that this one was done. Okay, let me just clean this out of here, and then we'll get this machine back together. Alright, that's a lot better than it was. We'll put the pinch roller back in place. It just sits on here like that. and it just slides in just like that onto that little post there, and then that goes back on top just like that, so that when this bracket slides back, it will ride down. So if I turn the loading motor, I think I'm turning it the right way. There we go. Now this will start to move after the tape, of course, gets pulled into position. So it should start to move anytime now. There it goes. And down goes that pinch roller. And just like that. And then reverse, and it goes up. Just like that. I'm working on a new country song, by the way. It's going to be country. It's going to be country. I don't know. I'll play it for you guys once I finish it. I've got a couple of verses. Maybe I'll read you what I've got. I haven't finished it yet, but when I finish it, I'm going to put it into AI and make a song out of it. I'll give you what I've got so far. The one thing I did very well when I was in school was poetry. And I've never really thought about it much, but lately I've been having fun with it. This one is called 12 Beers in a Year. And it's going to go kind of like this. Well, it's been a long road, but I'm rolling slow, counting every moment. Life's a sweet show. 12 beers in a year, that's my kind of craze. Whiskey on the rocks, but I'm feeling this phase. Sipping on memories one by one, from barbecues in summer to the cold winter run. Each can tells a story, each drink a laugh. Here's to the good times. It's a photograph. 12 beers in a year, raising one to the night. Every sip's a memory, saving it right. From the back roads to the bonfire cheer, living it simple with 12 beers in a year. That's where I've got so far. I've got some more work to do, but when it is done, I'm sure I'll play it. And for you guys wondering why I'm doing country, even though I'm not really a country fan, I'm a jazz guy. Okay, I'm a jazz guy, but it's just easy. It's easy to write country. It's probably the easiest music that you can write. Rock and roll is not much more difficult, but anyway, that's what I've been tinkering around with. Put the lyrics into an AI engine and see what comes up. But I gotta finish it first, so I'm not quite there yet. I've only got one verse so far. I've got one verse and I got the chorus. And I'm gonna come up with a couple more, and we'll see what we can come up with. But it might be funny. And this all stems from a conversation I was having with one of the guys I work with, who was telling me how, when he was on holidays, how many beers he drank. And I laughed. I said, hell, I might have had 12 beers in a year. And I joked, I said, geez, that could be a country song. And here we are. I just started working on it. I started working on it literally yesterday. Okay, wonder if I can plug this thing in now, see whether it smokes. Hey, it doesn't do the cycling. It's not trying to load the tape. I think we made progress. I'll throw the front controls on, and I'll throw a couple more screws in here, and we're going to give this thing a test and see whether I fixed it. I may very well have fixed everything now. Don't do what I do, right? Turn the power off when you're holding screws with magnets over top of energized units. That's a good way to have an accident. Drop a screw down into it and watch the magic smoke come up. Got a couple screws to go in the back. And since I didn't disconnect anything else, I didn't undo any other plugs or anything, it should be ready to test. Is that broken? I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's how it's supposed to look. It almost looks like this is broken off, but maybe not. I guess that's how it's supposed to look. We'll just turn this thing in the night shot and see if we can see the LED glowing
this uses light pipes, right? So let's just see what it looks like. You see, yeah, it's glowing here. You can see it right there. It fires the light out one way and the other. It's just got a couple of angles on it to reflect the light. One reflects light this way, and the other reflects light this way. They end up over on the detectors on this side here. All right, I guess the moment of truth. Turn on the power. Let it start up. And it's got clogged heads. Well, what else is new? I'm sure it's got more than clogged heads. It might have a damaged head from that tape going through there, but I don't have a picture. Oh, no, I do. Not a good picture. It's getting there. I'll show you. See, it's looking pretty grainy. Let's just try cleaning the heads with the head cleaning wheel. Where are we here? Come on, come clean, heads. Get clean. That's a bit better. What has this thing got for horns and whistles on it? I'm sure it's got a bunch of crap on here that nobody needs. Where we got here? We got editing control, audio dub and video insert. Does this have a TBC in it or not? I don't know if this one does. I don't see a button for it. What's the menu do? I don't even know how this thing works. RA edit. What's RA edit? I don't know what that is. I'll just get out of that. Tuner set, function set, function. Let's see what the function sets do here. Audio monitor. Time scan audio. Audio monitor is hi-fi. Okay. And how do I get out of this? I guess I press menu. Time scan audio is on. Auxiliary input is the rear video. Tape dub mode off. Whatever. Commercial advanced record. No. Commercial advanced playback. Hi-fi record level. Oh, like this you can preset your levels, but it doesn't have controls. You have to do them through the menu. Well, we know how well that's gonna be. How well that's gonna work. Let's see here. Menu. Let's go to the next. Let's go to the next menu. Function set 2. Auto timer superimpose second audio. SVHS mode. What the heck does that mean? SVHS mode is auto. Okay. Special function. I guess that's for control. Video stabilizer. And then the third one is function set 3. Auto clock. Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about this one here. 2 times. 3 times. This is the dynamic drum thing, right? It's turning, moving the drum. 7 times. Back to play. Reverse. I guess that's slow. That's still. And then we're going to go to reverse. 1 times in reverse. 3 times in reverse. 5 times. Not that this matters. Nobody's going to use this anyway, but it's doing its job. Go back to play. And if I hit full search, it goes to 7 times. Back to play. And you can actually see the drum move when I do this. I'll give you a shot of the drum while I'm changing modes. So there we're in normal play. If I go to the forward scan, you'll see the little gear down here spin. And you see the drum tilt. I'll go to reverse scan now. There, you see that? That's going to reverse search. And back to forward search and then back to play. When it works, it does okay, but when the plastic gears break, then the machine is broken. And what people have been doing is they've been putting emulator boards on that mimic the pulses that are generated by the gears that turn
and they mimic the pulses and fool the microprocessor into thinking that it's actually moving the drum when it's not, because it's disconnected. Now the emulator board I don't even think will work on this model, because this is a completely different drum than the ones that I've seen, the 9600, the 9800, etc. This one is completely different, and I don't know whether this one has the same problem. This is the 9400U. I don't know whether this particular machine has that same cracking gear problem. It probably does, but it doesn't use the same board. It doesn't have that little circuit board on the bottom. It has wires that are actually routed down and soldered down into the board or into plugs, so it may be able to be modded the same way. I've never done one, never researched it, but it's got a dynamic drum, and I would stay clear of these machines. I would never buy one with a dynamic drum, for example. If I was in the market for a VCR, which I'm not, because I've got probably 20 of the stupid things or more, but if I was in the market for one, I wouldn't buy one with a dynamic drum, just knowing the high failure rate of the dynamic drums. So this one here is now functional. I'm going to test Super VHS in it, and I'll test both EP and SP speeds, make sure that they are working correctly with an SVHS tape. I just wanted to test it with this tape first to make sure it works, which it does. So I'll hit the eject button, and I'm going to splice the fellow's tape for him properly so that it won't get chewed up in his machine, and call it a day. But I'm going to grab a Super VHS tape, as I made one specifically for testing Super VHS machines. See, this one's titled My Stuff, so that I don't get hit with copyright, because the other stuff I've got on SVHS were movies and stuff that I recorded. And Super VHS in SP is playing perfect. I'll show it to you. So this is my time lapse. Actually, this is the recording that I got hit with, believe it or not, copyright. And when the shot comes up in a minute, I probably put my hand in front of the screen, just because the BBC assholes claimed that the shot of Lake Louise that I did a time lapse on, they actually have a similar shot on one of their shows, and helicopter going overhead, must be patrolling the border. They have a shot, there we go, yeah, block that out, blah, 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 block this out, because apparently the BBC says they own the rights to that image, so we'll just do that. They can give them that, give the BBC that, okay. That shot on a video pulled a copyright claim from the BBC, and I filed a dispute. This was years ago. This was like 10 years ago. I filed a dispute and told them it was my own original content, and I went to that location with my camera and took the picture, and they upheld their claim that the image was their copyright. The BBC of all. It's ridiculous. The whole copyright claim BS is crap. You know, as I was joking with somebody on my comments on the last video about the BS copyright claim, I said, you know what, you could go and take a picture of your house from the street and use that, and Google would claim ownership because they drove by your house with Street View and took a picture of it. Anyway, let's move this up to the EP speed portion so I can verify that that works. Yes, I did all that too. That was the moon. That was from my front yard, I think. Let the moon go by. This was all shot on, these were all single shots that was done on a still camera. And there's one shot I got of the moon where I was using a telephoto lens on it. It was pretty neat. But it's looking good. Let me move ahead to the EP speed, and we'll see how, make sure that the EP speed plays. I should make sure that I've got sound here too. I'm pretty sure I got sound. Oh, there is sound, but I hear some. Maybe it's okay. I heard a bit of flutter there. It's almost like the tracking's off a bit. Of course, my cats are on here too. They're having a little scrap. The white one is pretty big now. He's probably about 10 pounds there, and I'm sure he's 25 pounds now. And they like to have a little scrap once in a while. And they're having a scrap there. And here's some EP stuff. Let's see if it'll track up. Oh, yeah, there's EP. Vancouver Aquarium. That one is. That's EP speed. Yeah, sounding good. Playing good. Tracking good. Everything's looking good. This was from a DV tape, right? Or HDV tape. And it was dubbed down over Firewire. I used the HDV to DV convert down, so it's all done digitally. Converted it down from HDV to DV. These were stored on large, like not the mini DV tape, but the larger ones that fit in my DHR 1000. So I made a couple test tapes on my DHR 1000 of different stuff of mine, and then I dubbed those tapes, played them back, and set them to the Super VHS recorder over S-Video. And there it goes into rewind. These machines rewind pretty quick. Oh, there's a dynamic contrast button on here. I wonder what that does. And you know, this monitor here, this Pioneer Plasma, the guy that gave it to me asked if he could have it back. And I said, well, you were throwing it out. There's dynamic contrast on, dynamic contrast off. Subtle, very subtle, on and off. Anyway, the guy that gave me the plasma, because he was taking this to recycling, and I said, hey, you know, if you're throwing it out, I'll take it off your hands. He's like, are you gonna fix it? I said, well, I'm gonna try. So he calls me up and he says, yeah, did you ever fix that plasma? I said, no. Because he'd probably come and ask for it back, but I don't blame him, because this plasma set has got such a damn good picture when you're looking at regular standard definition content. I mean, it really looks good. I could put it on my Panasonic. I bet you my Panasonic looks good too, but this really looks good. I'll throw the Panasonic on just so you guys can see the difference. Okay, the Panasonic doesn't look as good. That's a scratch on the tape, by the way. You see at the bottom there, that's a scratch that got on the tape. That's why this tape is being used for this, because it's scratched. Yeah, no, it doesn't look as good on the Panasonic. That's a better picture, for sure. And that's EP playback. And this is SP playback, this one. The other one was EP. That's SP, and if I switch over to the other monitor, I can see some lines in here. That's the monitor. If I get my hand anywhere near the video head, it'll really probably go up. You see that? That's because the cover's off. This Panasonic throws out a lot more digital noise than the Pioneer. I turn that off. The Pioneer doesn't have any ingress in the picture. It's so much better. If you ever get your hands on a Pioneer Elite Plasma for a song, take it. Because these were really good sets. I was going to splice the guy's tape from. When you're splicing a tape, you got to make sure that you don't have any exposed adhesive. And that means trimming it back with your scissors or snips or whatever, so that there's no exposed adhesive. That's the number one thing. Make sure that there's no possibility of anything sticky catching the heads or catching the pinch roller or anything. But you got to trim it. You got to trim it like that, so that there's absolutely nothing showing. That's how you splice videotape, or any tape for that matter, but videotape especially. because you've got the rotating video head, you don't want any adhesive. It doesn't matter, you know, if you've got any wrinkles, you're going to see the splice anyway, right? You can't do a splice like this and not see it. You're going to see it. But that's how you have to do it. You do a splice like that, and you're not going to have a problem. This is a T180, so it's an extra thin tape. I got to call the guy and let him know that I've got his machine done, and that I saved his wedding tape because it's important. This is the original tape. There's no other copy. So, and it's got these stupid security screws with the triangle on it, but fortunately I happen to have the correct bit, so I can tighten these down properly. He didn't even have them in tight because he was using, I guess, a regular screwdriver, so they weren't even driven in tight, but I got the right bit, so can fix everything up. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. I'll tell you what the next one's going to be. I mean, I've got two Betamax machines here that I haven't got to just yet. I will be getting to them. They were shipped in, and I've got another Betamax coming in tomorrow, and I just got in a stereo, an Onkyo receiver. So that will be that'll be looked at probably next. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.